Hello and welcome to Tracy Momi Reads. I am back again with another video. And today will be the last video, like regular book review type video for 2024. I cannot believe that this year has come to an end once again. I mean, it's a blessing to be here, but gosh, time it flies by so fast. So I'm going to do a book review today, and then next week I will do a recap of my favorite reads of 2024 and also some holiday type stuff, like a tour of the bookshelves and everything. Because I know the last few videos, I've recorded so many videos so far out that you'll probably see that my bookshelf keeps changing, but I'm going to be decorating soon, and I will do a tour of the bookshelf to wrap things up, as well as those top reads of 2024. And then the last 2 weeks of the year, I will be on vacation. I will be taking off from the channel, so I won't be back until 2025. But as for today, I am going to be talking about the book The Wedding People. The Wedding People by Alison Espach or Espach. Hopefully, I said one of those was correct when I said it. I saw this book floating around for a while, like before it came out and like after it came out. And a couple of times I read the premise, right? And I was just like, I don't know. Nothing, it didn't like grab me, it wasn't an attention grabber for me, at least. And then I saw a video of someone who I feel like we have similar taste in books. Like, she was going on and on about how it was so good. And then I saw somebody else, like I read their review, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. And so when I was in Target, because it's very rare that I buy books anymore, like in person, right? I either get them off Thrift Books or, if I do the book of the month or something like that. But primarily, I'm on Kindle Unlimited or Libby. So I got the book and decided that a good time to get into it would be, my husband and I took an anniversary trip. 22 years on November 8th. And we took an anniversary trip and we flew, to our destination. So I was like, oh, this will be a good book for the plane. And I read half of it going and half of it coming back. I'm so glad I gave it a chance. Okay, let's get into it. Let me get my notes. Okay, as you can probably glean from the title, there is a wedding involved, the wedding people. So there is a wedding involved. So when the book opens, there's a woman by the name of Phoebe. She's at, a really high-end swank hotel checking in, and it's a lot of activity. And she, just from like ear hustling and hearing what's going on around her, she realizes that, oh, somebody's getting married here, while I'm here this weekend or whatever. And that's why all these people are here. Well, turns out the woman who's getting married, she thought she had booked the entire hotel for her guest only, which I'm not somebody with money, right? So she had wanted the hotel just for her guests, and she was doing like a wedding week, not just a weekend. Again, somebody with money. But some kind of way, Phoebe slips under the radar and she ends up getting a room, one of the fanciest rooms at the hotel that week of the bride's festivities. And so when the bride's coming through giving out like welcome bags and stuff to all her guests, Phoebe gets one. And she kind of goes with it at first, but then, when she's asked directly, oh, are you here for the wedding? She's like, no, I'm not, And then like the bride and Phoebe are alone in an elevator, like Phoebe's going to her room, and the bride learns that Phoebe's not there for her wedding. And, she's kind of upset because, like I said, she thought she had booked the whole hotel. But then when Phoebe tells her why she's there, then that sets off a whole different chain of events. And so I'm not going to spoil that at all. But I will say what happens next is we get a backstory, right? We go back to the past, just, like a few years and then months and weeks as to what led up to Phoebe even being at the hotel and what she was there for. This book, it really took me by surprise, okay? I knew after reading that first chapter and kind of getting into Phoebe's story, that this was going to be one of those books that, although it's fiction, it gave you plenty of aha moments, and it absolutely did. It absolutely did. So the bride, her name is Lila, short for Delilah, but everybody calls her Lila. She's much younger than Phoebe. I want to say that maybe she's not even 30 yet, maybe mid to late 20s, and Phoebe is like late 30s, if not 40 already. And just the dynamic of how these two start to become fast friends, and the wisdom that Phoebe has that she imparts to Lila, and how she also sees the way that Lila attacks life, and it inspires her in a way. And all of this is important because, like I said, there's a very distinct reason why Phoebe is there at the hotel. And through the flashbacks, we learn that she had a husband, or she has a husband, but he's not there with her at that hotel. So do with that what you will. But the events that take place at the hotel, Phoebe is sucked into it because, like I said, her and Lila start to form a fast friendship, and Lila is going to make sure that, number one, that Phoebe doesn't ruin this for her, like this week. So she's like, come on, you coming with us. You're going to do this. We need an extra person. You're involved. You're here. You may as well, you're part of the family now. And it is a cast of characters, let me just say. The groom, Gary, he's much older than Lila, and he has a preteen daughter, and a sister and a brother. The sister and the daughter, they don't really like Lila. Their parents are there. Lila's like high school and college friends are there. And even though the book centers around Phoebe, it's like we get from her perspective and just from the dialogue and everything, because it is told in third person, so it's not like a first person account. But again, it focuses more on Phoebe. But just from all the other characters, there are just like some true like serious characters, in every sense of the word. Because whenever you get a large group of people together, especially family and friends, there's always just a bit of drama. There's a lot of gossip, a lot of judgment, a lot of, talking behind people's backs. And it's just no different in this book. But it gives you, when you have privy to those conversations, it just makes for a much deeper and richer story. I think that with Phoebe's character, she has the most, I want to say, character development from where she starts at the beginning of the book, and how being around these virtual strangers, because they are strangers, right? Being around them and hearing their stories and how they interact with each other, let's just say it makes Phoebe realize that life doesn't have to be as serious as she has made it out to be, right? Because these people are absurd. They are so ridiculous on so many levels. And I don't know, it's because the wedding itself, and all the events leading up to, it's just so over the top. There's just so much money being spent on so many activities that a lot of these people don't really want to do, but they're trying to appease the bride, who admittedly is a spoiled brat. she is very immature despite her age. And I mean, you know, she's under 30. So, I mean, that's par for the course, I would imagine. But then given the fact that she's an only child, you know, her dad left her all this money and she's just trying to make everything so perfect. And one thing that I have come to like understand and realize as I've gotten older, the more you try to make something perfect, the more like not perfect and imperfect it becomes. Just calamity after calamity happens when you are trying just to have no, you know, blemishes and no marks and no mistakes. You just can't win. And that's exactly what happens in this book. And it's so interesting too, because Phoebe, she's a professor of English, like something a very specific thing to do with I don't know if it was Bronte or Elizabeth Bronte or who the author was that she, like, her specialization was on. But she's very, very smart, and that has always been her, like, you know, the thing that she was most proud of about herself is that she knew all these random facts, and she, you know, was very intelligent. And so when she is kind of just plopped in the middle of this group of, like, just off the rails people at this wedding, they all gravitate towards her and they seek her out for advice and for her opinion. And, you know, what does she think about this and that? Because she is so smart. And they do know that she's a professor. But the thing that I feel like was the biggest aha moment for me, and probably for Phoebe, is that she started this book outside of her intellect, thinking that maybe she didn't really have any worth. And as these people pulled her further and further into their lives and into their family, she realized that she actually had something to give and something that made her valuable, that she never really maybe considered before, you know? And because there's so many, you know, people and so much going on in the book, you just have a bit of everything. I think we cross genres in this book. On its face, it's definitely women's fiction, right? But there's some contemporary fiction elements. There is definitely some romance. There's even, I feel like, a little historical stuff going on in here. It's not historical fiction, so to speak. I mean, it's actual, like, stuff, but you kind of get a lesson in literature and some historical things in the town where they are, which is a real place. So from that standpoint, I think you just get so much packed into this book, but it does it without being too much, or it's not something that's too dense. You know, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of characters, but because it's told from third person point of view, like, it's like somebody is having privy to be in the minds and rooms and conversations of all these people. So you don't really have to follow each individual character, because the narrator, so to speak, is telling you what's going on and they're tying everything together for you, if that makes sense. And, you know, that relationship between Lila and Phoebe, you know, them becoming fast friends. One of the things that I feel like I appreciated and was also annoyed by, which is a strange dynamic to have both of those exist together, was that there was, like, no boundaries, right? I mean, to the point where one time Phoebe was in the tub and Lila just walks in. You know, she just comes in and just starts talking to her because she's just gotten so comfortable and so used to Phoebe, you know, already, just in the short span of time, but also because they had no real boundaries with each other. They could just say whatever, because after this wedding, I'm probably never going to see this woman again. So they were just brutally honest with each other, telling each other, you know, what they felt and thought, about themselves, as well as, I'm looking at you as a woman and I think you're doing XYZ, saying things that their family and friends would never say to them. And I think it helped both of them, especially when the book started winding down and we come to the end, it helped both of them make some major decisions about what was next for them in their lives, right? And it was just so well done, the way that the author had that evolution of Phoebe. And just the course of a week, her life was changed drastically. And I think it really speaks to how our environment can play such a role, whether good or bad, in the people that we become and the things that we believe and how we carry ourselves, and all of that may have nothing to do with who we really are on the inside. And just over the course of 1 week with these strangers at this hotel, Phoebe has had her eyes open to who she really is, what she really wants. And she finally realizes it's okay to not want what you thought you wanted, and that the world is not going to come to an end, and that your life is not over because it did not go to plan. And I think that Phoebe is a conduit to help the other characters in the book and the other guests at the wedding learn this about themselves, because she forms like a relationship with each of them, including the groom, who, like I said, he's closer to her age. But it was a very good read. And I just really think that this was such a good book to end 2024's, reviews on, because when I started with the first book this year, it was like out the gate, I felt like it was a, 4 or 5 star read. Ending the year with, a book that I feel is on par with how I started the year. I just feel like there's something cosmic about that. And also, as we go into 2025, I personally appreciated the messaging and the takeaways about how life doesn't always go according to plan. And, I know that firsthand, being someone who is 54 years old. I've had a lot of things that didn't go my way, a lot of things in life that have happened, in the world that have happened. And by the grace of God, I am still here. And I am praying that that is something that continues. There's a lot of unknowns on the horizon, and some very well knowns. We know exactly what's about to happen, but I still have faith and want to believe strongly that the environment, and not only sometimes your physical environment, but your mental environment. You got to watch what you consume as far as, media, social media, news media, and just different things to keep you in the right headspace mentally, so that you can, just live a life of joy and peace, because there's always something and someone potentially that may try to take that from you. So, off my soapbox, again, The Wedding People, a very good read, a very introspective read, where, as you're going through reading this and all of the things that are going on at this week-long wedding, that maybe you see yourself in some of these characters, or you're asking yourself some existential questions as Phoebe did in the book. And if not, I feel like you probably didn't get it. Like, seriously, if you're not asking yourself some questions after reading this book about your life and kind of life you want to live, you may want to read it again. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you have read The Wedding People, I would love to know your thoughts. Did you find yourself asking, yourself some existential question, or, having some aha moments? Let me know in the comments. Make sure that you like this video and be sure to go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Again, next week will be my last video of 2024. So turn on that post notification bell so that you don't miss it. Thanks again, guys. See you next week. Bye.